The landscape is looking pretty barren as far as pickups go, but we'll talk about our options, two-start pitchers, and more coming up on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code ROTOPOD use promo code ROTOPOD for a 100% deposit match. It's great to be back on with you, Todd. Was gone last week. Took a trip to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum.
Nice.
It was pretty fun. My dad's getting up there in age, and we'd talked about it, making a trip to Cooperstown for years, so it was great to be able to finally make that happen while he's still with us. And it was great. They have a little fantasy section. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. It was from a few years ago. I don't know if the exhibits have changed or grown, but I remember when it came out, I thought it was going to be just a one, sort of a, I don't call it traveling exhibit, but a special exhibit. Glad to hear that it's still there.
Yeah, it was kind of just one part of one display, but it was pretty cool. They had a little pamphlet from La Rotisserie Française. Is that how it said? East 52nd Street, New York. It long since closed, but I got to explain to my dad and stepmom how, that's where the Roto and RotoWire comes from. And of course, rotisserie baseball. They had never heard of rotisserie baseball. They'd heard of fantasy baseball and knew that's what I worked in, but did not have any clue about its origin. So maybe we can get one of our last RotoWire magazines in there in that display someday. But it was very cool. How was your week, Todd?
It was good. A lot of good. Still having some day baseball. I think we're gonna say that for the rest of the season. There's been more day ball. It's been a really good week. I've been entrenched in a research project I'm not up on the bat speed because I've been entrenched in another research project. So that's kind of fun. But the
I need to familiarize myself. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, the bat speed stuff is taking over.
That's the next wave of stats.
Absolutely, but I'm still hung up on. Not still, but I'm hung up on. We're talking about less power. Okay, that's fine. But the reduced flight baseball is also affecting the BABIP of the fly ball, and that's driving runs down even more. So I've been doing some work on that. It took so long. Yeah, I did the stuff and I had it almost done. It was like, it's now 3 days after. I got 3 more days. You know what? I'm going to hold it. Coming up on the weekend, people are doing other things. I'll just I'll refresh it next week with even more data. So I didn't have to throw it away, but
well, that's good. Getting a start, getting your hands around it.
Yeah, plus I think what I'm going to do is to replace it. Did a tout table asking about some pitching, so I'll write that up so that I can post the Z files with my answers concurrent with when we post the Z files on Monday about a bunch of would you rather pitching. So anyway, we're good.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's all new to all of us, and we're all kind of just getting our first taste of this new StatCast info, the bat speed info, and it's we're all looking for a new edge, and this could provide it, but
or it could not.
Yeah, it could be could provide little.
And no, you know what? It should, but as is the case with any of this stuff, early on we got to look out for misapplications, trying to get the answers that don't exist.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll people smarter than us will let us know, and we'll report on it, making us sound smart.
Cool. Well, as I mentioned at the top, pretty barren landscape, maybe a wasteland, frankly, if you're watching the Fallout series on Prime like I am. Kind of a wasteland, and if you're like me, hurting in some leagues, we could use some help, but not much on the horizon right now, it doesn't look like. The top pickup in the stake league last night was Jalen Beeks. He was still around. I know he's picked up a lot of leagues in the NFBC last weekend, but Jalen Beeks here still available, $9. Speaks to just the desperation for saves, and just as far as recently, not a ton of turnover at closer around the league.
Right. But I mean, there has been turnover in Colorado. Tyler Kinley. Yep. Justin Lawrence. If heading into the season, the Colorado Rockies bullpen was ranked together amongst the other closers, I think I would have 25 closers ahead of the Rockies bullpen. I don't know that I have. It will not be me making bids on Jalen Beeks. I know he's a lefty, gotten 3 of the past 4 saves or something like that, but the shelf life is just scary.
Yeah, it could blow up in a hurry and get real ugly. So I get it if you're desperate, but I picked up Griffin Jacks on the other hand for 0. Maybe Jalen Beeks has a larger share of the role, but actually since Yohan Duran came back in Minnesota, Jacks has kind of still been in that mix. So it's Yohan Duran was pretty well confined to the 9th last year for Minnesota, but it seems like maybe they're kind of expanding. Baldelli's expanding Duran's role a little bit.
He's coming in against the strongest part of the opposing team's order. Mm-hmm. I think in part because Jax and Caleb Thielbar and a couple others, Cole Sands, they established that they can get the job done in the 9th. Mm. So I think Baldelli's kind of a new school guy. And this is the way we'll be managing our Stratomatic and our score sheet teams, right? Put it in the best pitcher against the best opposing lineup. So we can't get too upset when our fantasy teams get hurt by it. Although, heading in, you kind of alluded to it. We didn't have Duran in that bucket of closers potentially playing that role. Neither did we have Andres Munoz. So maybe next year when we say these are the closers that I'm positive will have the job, we can say, I don't know, we were positive about Munoz, positive about Duran, and look what happened there. So
Duran saw a large share of the save opportunities last year, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue that way, the usage pattern. So, I picked up Jax mostly because, I had Ben Brown. He hasn't been starting. And I only have Alexis Diaz and Jason Foley. So I thought, I'm not starting him this week. But I thought Jax probably should be rostered in the 16-team mixed league.
Yep.
Nick Gonzalez for 4. A former top prospect, not really, the shine is faded a little bit on Nick Gonzalez with an S at the end, by the way. Mm-hmm. But there may be something here. He homered on Tuesday against the Brewers in a loss, but do you think that maybe Nick Gonzalez ends up getting a little run here? He's not technically, I guess, with Triolo at third base for Hayes, there is a little bit of an opening at second.
It's one of those, to me, it's one of those, because he has a job, I don't see a ton of the numbers that excite me in that lineup. If you in middle, even though we talk about second base being so deep, quality over quantity, quantity's now dwindled. Been a lot of injuries in the middle infield. So I can see where Gonzalez is just getting the opportunity, hitting not at the top of the order, but close enough that it's okay. But he'd be on a waterfall, but I'm certainly not saying I'm not sweating getting Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's kind of a desperation option in a mixed league, but like you said, a lot of injuries. One league I had Tim Anderson actually in my middle. He hit the IL, so I had a bid in on Gonzalez, but I ended up picking up Edmundo Sosa instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I think I had Sosa, slightly ahead of Gonzalez in my order, but they were all just $1 players. All right, next up. Well, actually, we had a comment in the chat about Alec Burleson still being available in 98% of Yahoo leagues from our friend of the show, Uncle Ted. Burleson do anything for you? This Cardinals team is a mess, and I've been down the Burleson road before, so I'm not all that high on him. But where do you fall on Alec Burleson?
In the Yahoo leagues have 3 outfielders. Mm-hmm. So their standard teams, their standard leagues are 10 teams. I know they go more. Ted himself says he's in a 16-team Yahoo. that's still 50 outfielders. Alex Burleson is not a top 50 outfielder. He's interesting. He's a streamer. When we talk streaming pitching in these 10 and 12 team mixed leagues on ESPN and Yahoo and CBS, you stream batters too. He's a streamer for me.
Mm. Yeah, those ownership numbers, rostership numbers can be a little misleading sometimes, but yeah, he's been playing well, but I do see regression coming. Certainly a guy that if you need a guy should be mentioned, Alec Burleson. Tylor Megill picked up for 4. We know Christian Scott's going to be sticking around for the Mets, but Tylor Megill working his way back from injury, and it looks like he's going to start either this Sunday or Monday. So if it's Monday, he could be on our 2-start list. Do you think Megill with Jose Butto optioned is going to be a viable fantasy piece?
Yeah, I think anybody in the Mets is viable. Citi Field is the best venue in which to pitch. So I'm interested from that point of view. But we should just remind people that are listening, the Estate League goes Thursday to Wednesday. So he's starting regardless in this particular league.
Sure. Yeah.
He is going to be an interesting, 2-start or 1-start guy next week when we talk about 2-start pitchers. But we'll keep that in mind. And Megill had the injury aside, he's showing that breakout potential, especially with strikeouts. You can't predict it, but there were some underlying signs, both numbers and by the eye, that suggested it could be coming or can be coming.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have seen flashes and seen something in him for a while, but it's been a bit of a slow go. But maybe now, he can slot in, and if healthy, he could, start to really make a name for himself. His brother is over in Minnesota, Milwaukee. Sorry,
Milwaukee. We now I don't know. We should confirm this. We have him bolded on our chart, which should signify for Monday, which should signify there's been information that Megill is starting on Monday.
Good to know. So yeah, I think he could probably be a top name for pickups this week. Charlie Blackmon picked up in the Stake League for 3. Luke Raley for 3. Maybe trying to get out ahead of a hot stretch for Raley. And Carlos Santana, really brutal start, but he's kind of just doing Carlos Santana things, and hard guy to trust for Roto just because he's such a batting average liability, but does have 7 homers and exceeded 20 last year. So
been hitting the ball, like you said, started out really slow. The batted ball metrics backed it. He's been hitting the ball much harder, whether that's an injury or whatever it might be. What is his bat speed? He's definitely turned it around and getting the playing time with the Twins. And like you said, batting average liability isn't walking as much as he used to, but he's still useful in points in OBP leagues.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of confined to those formats, but unless you're really desperate. But an OBP, he's still a decent option. Eddie Rosario picked up for 2. Todd, I'm still waiting on James Wooåd. I kind of got the timetable wrong there. I'll raise my hand and admit that. I thought he'd be up, a couple of weeks ago at a minimum, but still waiting on Wood. I just want to say, as pretty much every other team in baseball seems to be abandoning the traditional development path, the Nationals are preaching patience with James Wooåd. So a little bit of an organizational, a philosophical difference here we're seeing. And right or wrong, I think it's interesting that some teams are still, going the seasoning route and really letting a guy like Wood cook down there.
Yes, but I do think we need to just list the teams that are advancing their prospects, and are they competing, or are they still in the rebuilding or the waiting mode? And there are some that are rebuilding and yet accelerating prospects. Look at Pittsburgh with Jared Jones and Paul Skeens. Maybe the difference between pitching and batting, I don't know. But all the prospects that have been accelerated, and the Corbin Carrolls and Wyatt Langfords and etc., Evan Carter, they're on teams that are competing. Jackson Holiday. So I do think we need to keep that in mind. But you're right in that as soon as a team shows any inkling of competing, I think we're going to see some of these guys up. This is now the second time, right? That Wood, he kind of like went on a bit of a cold streak right after the previous hot streak. So maybe the Nationals just want to see consistency. Plus, just one of the reasons we always think Wood's coming up is because there's a hole or slump in the Nationals outfield. But Rosario was kind of filled this one, you know.
Mm-hmm. So he's gotten hot at the right time.
Yeah, Winker previously, and now Rosario.
Exactly. And who was that before that? Jacob Young. So
Jacob Young.
Yeah. So they've kind of been given an opportunity to keep Wood down, and I mean he's really kicking down the door. It seems like, but they are. Maybe they saw some of the struggles of guys like Holiday and said.
Exactly. Jackson Churio, another.
Yeah, Churio's really struggled. I actually dropped him in one league.
Wow, yeah.
It was kind of a shallower league, but just couldn't. He was sitting a bunch, and I think he sat like 3 straight Jackson Churio, and I just decided time to move on. Well, we'll get to 2-star pitchers, but bear with me here. We'll take care of a little business here. With some words from our sponsors. Have you ever dreamed of stepping into the shoes of a general manager? Welcome to So Rare MLB, a groundbreaking fantasy baseball game where you call the shots. Take charge and make your managerial mark by collecting officially licensed digital player cards of your favorite MLB stars. They aren't just any cards. They're your ticket to compete for over $1 million in total cash rewards and other amazing prizes. Imagine winning VIP trips to the MLB All-Star 2024 game, All-Star game, or getting your hands on signed merchandise from top MLB players. Here's how it works. Use your cards to set your lineup each game week. Real-world players and plays like hits, strikeouts, and homers will power your team's performance. Climb the leaderboards and snag weekly wins from cash prizes to more cards and unforgettable experiences. But there's more. Build an iconic collection of your favorite teams and players to unlock gameplay bonuses and exclusive rewards. The rarer the card, the higher your score, and the bigger your edge in competitions. And when you're ready to trade, the So Rare Marketplace offers a vibrant community of managers. Engage in live auctions, make instant buys, or trade cards peer-to-peer. Starting is absolutely free. Draft your first team of common cards today and feel the thrill of competition as you climb the ranks to baseball mastery. What are you waiting for? Join So Rare MLB today. Transform your passion for baseball into a quest for glory and get rewarded for your baseball savvy. Sign up today with the link in the description and get 50% off your first pro cards up to $50. It's your passion rewarded. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. I was a card guy, and this sounds like a cool new twist on the fantasy game. Also, want to thank our friends over at Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. You just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and watch the winnings roll in. Todd, looking at our Prize Picks tool tonight, one that jumps out to me, Frankie Montas, under 16 outs. 16 outs, kind of a low number, but it is against the Dodgers. Reds shocked me yesterday, Todd, with a win in Los Angeles. That's pretty rare for the Reds to win in Dodger Stadium, and they did it, well, thanks in part to Ellie running wild. You said before the show he's on pace for what, like 110 steals?
110.
Oh,
he's played every game but one, which he came into as a pinch hitter late. So it's just silly. And he had 4 stolen bases in that game, stole third at one point. But it's just as we were joking off the air. I'm legally supposed to say, but there's no way he'll steal 110. I can't say that. You can't.
Yeah, the Reds. I mean, David Bell. The Reds had that long losing streak. I think lost 8 in a row. And he seems confident that the best way to produce offense is the running game, and just everybody seems to have the green light, and they need to keep running if they're going to manufacture runs, because it's just been streaky up and down that lineup. Also, like Kyle Manzardo over 0.5 total bases tonight.
I hope
Still
you're right.
Just kind of waiting for Manzardo to find his stride still. But yeah, Prize Picks, our Prize Picks tool is fantastic. Check it out. And quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use promo code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Again, we thank them for sponsoring the show. And Todd, do you want to get into 2-star pitchers for next week?
I want to do some Prize Picks, but I'll do that after the show. I'd like the strikeout props. Those are my favorites. We'll do those. We'll do those on my own time. This is, as Mr. Hen said, isn't this our time? So let's do some 2-star pitchers.
Yeah. Shout out once again, one last time, to our tech team and Aaron Quinn and everybody who created this Prize Picks tool at RotoWire. They continue to amaze me with what they can cook up on the back end. All right, starting with Monday here at the very top of the list, the Diamondbacks, the week of May 20th, 2024. All right, so you can customize the grid. Start date May 20th. Show starters. Slade Ciccone at the Dodgers versus Miami. The Miami may make him a 1, but in leagues where I'm trying to preserve my ratios, which is most of them, the Dodgers takes him out of the mix. I think I'm just gonna go 1 on Ciccone.
But the fact that it's not a categorical 0 shows that Ciccone is doing a little better than we expected. I'm with you with a 1.
Yeah, Dodgers just so damn tough.
Not to the Reds. They're like 1-0 against them in their last 1 game.
Yeah, small sample. Caveats, throw them out. I was shocked they got to Glass now last night. Chris Sale, Todd, is 6-1. What a rejuvenation he's had so far with the Atlanta Braves.
Is it a rejuvenation?
Well, I guess he's just healthy. So
yeah.
And he had those issues, I think, late in 2020 where he had the bike accident.
Yeah.
But it was a non-throwing hand. It just finally seems to be clicking on all cylinders and looking like a great trade for that Atlanta team. Him and Charlie Morton both lining up for 2, but for Sale, it's versus San Diego at Pitt. For Morton, it's at the Cubs at Pitt. I'm reluctant to give Sale a 5, but I think I may just go 5.
I'm not reluctant at all. I'm going to go 5. And Morton. Don't hate the matchups. But I'm only going to go 3 because we're seeing some chinks in the armor. We're not seeing huge length games, etc. So I'm going to go 3.
But you really believe, at least as far as performance, who knows about health, but you really think something like this is sustainable for Sale long term?
Performance, yes, absolutely do. And I think that you see the Braves are off to a bit of a slow start. Their offense has actually been struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once the team is cruising a little bit, if they are, we may see extra off days, that sort of thing. Plus, there's been some injuries in their rotation, the Braves. So, but yeah. I mean, Sale's skills are fine. The ERA was a bit high with the Red Sox last year. That's Fenway Park part of it, just bad defense part of it. So, no, I think he's back. Skills-wise, easily a 5.
Kyle Bradish has fallen short of 5 innings in 2 of his 3 starts since he returned, but a 2.63 ERA for Bradish. Gets at St. Louis, then at the White Sox. Pretty good 2-step for him. And, even though he's, the innings haven't really been there, he has essentially built up his arm enough to handle a traditional starter's workload. 85 pitches, 90 before that.
Yeah.
So, I love this two-step for him. I think I'm going to give Kyle Bradish a 4.
Yep, we are in lockstep. Gonna go 4 as well.
St. Louis is, I don't know, I guess with Goldschmidt, it seems like he just aged in a hurry, just kind of production's fallen off a cliff. I don't know. I don't think are they ahead of the Reds, or are they still in the cellar? Let me check here.
Yeah, I mean,
They're in the cellar. 18
Arenado's been a
25.
steady decline,
Yeah.
but your Goldschmidt, yeah, I know he's 38 or whatever it might be, but it's hit him all at once. If it even has, he's hit better lately. So we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, the Cardinals are currently in this cellar in the NL Central. Pretty amazing. The Reds, I thought maybe the Reds had bumped them out, but that win last night kept them out of the cellar. And Will Benson did have he was amped after that homer. All right, back to our two-start pitchers. To your Boston Red Sox, Tanner Houck at Tampa Bay, then versus Milwaukee. I'm going to turn this one over to you to start. Where do you land on Tanner Houck?
I'm going to go 4.
4?
I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough that he's a 4/5, but he hasn't done it in long enough to get the 5. But I think what we've seen is real and sustainable. I'm going to go 4.
Well, I'm going to go 3, but that's kind of how I feel, like how you feel about Houck, how I feel about Javier Assad of the Cubs. Now, he does have to face Atlanta at home, then at St. Louis, but I mean, Assad's 4-0 with a 1.49 ERA. I'm believing what I'm seeing from Assad. But with the Atlanta matchup, I gave Houck a 3. I know you went 4, but I think I'm going to give Assad a 3 as well. But actually, I think, I'm going to go 3. The Atlanta start does kind of scare me with regression inevitable for Javier Assad.
Right. Now, keeping in mind, Atlanta has literally had one of the worst offenses in May.
That's
now,
insane, but yeah.
The problem is it can flip on a dime, whatever the expression is. So it's, okay, that's are you still streaming against him? Heck no. Scared of him. Still scared of him. But the point being, Atlanta had like the 6th best offense in April, which isn't even as high as people thought it was, and like the 6th worst so far this month. Anyway, I'm going to go with 3 on his side. I do like what I'm seeing as far as signs as well. Thought he had that strikeout breakthrough potential coming into the season, needed a command and control, seems to have found it. I like him for a 3.
On my team, Andrew Abbott, not my team, but, I do live and die by the Reds, but it is not a we situation, but still, Andrew Abbott versus San Diego, then versus the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Hate having the Dodgers coming into Great American after this 4-game set, but Abbott's been, pretty darn good, but lefty going up at Great American Ballpark against these two offenses. I think I'm going to only give Andrew Abbott a 2 this week.
I'm going to go with the 1. You probably seen him more than I do, so maybe have a little bit more confidence. But I'm scared of these matchups.
He has looked pretty good, but
yeah,
he.
Go 1.
As a lefty going up against, inevitably they'll stack lineups with righties. So going up against a slew of righties in Great American with that short porch out in left field, it just scares me. Ben Lively has been shockingly good, but I'm still waiting for that other shoe to drop with him. He's versus the Mets, then at the Angels. Certainly a guy who's in the mix, but I think I'm going to give him a 1. I need to see more still.
I think his footwear is safe another week. I like the matchups. I'm going to go. I can't go 3, 2. I'm going to go 2.
2 on Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to use him when I have where I have him, and I'll probably pick him up where I need him. I think, that's the quality of what's available now.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cal Quantrill's at Oakland versus Philly. Hey, credit to Cal Quantrill for holding his own, but he's another guy where I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. And at Oakland, still a plus matchup, but they haven't been a complete doormat. So I'm gonna go 0 on Cal Quantrill.
Yeah. Was it? I know Colorado's away and then home, so one of the starts are at home.
The Philly start is at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 0. Yeah.
Well, Eric Fetty has really turned it on. Pretty great story for him, and he's at Toronto versus Baltimore. Same matchups for Garrett Crochet. Crochet too hit a little bit of a bump in the road, but has really come back strong. So the White Sox need some glimmers of hope, and certainly Crochet has provided one. And Fetty's looked like a nice addition, maybe a trade piece for them at the deadline. At Toronto versus Baltimore. For Eric Fetty, I think I'm only going to go 2. He probably, based on the way he's pitching, he deserves to be higher, but those are 2 tough offenses, even with Toronto kind of struggling to find their stride.
Yeah, I want to go higher, but these are tough matchups. I think just by having Fetty as a 2 says, we had predicted this early. We said 0, right? Wouldn't have thought about it. So the fact that we even have to think between 2 and 3 is interesting. Going to go 2, but again, I'm probably using him. Although he's probably not as available. He's pitched well enough that in 15 teams leagues for sure, and probably many 12s, he's not available.
We had a question in the chat about Cole Irvin's start. I don't know what happened to it. I just assumed the Orioles, actually, they're not listing a starter for tomorrow or Sunday officially. So
I think, that's part of it. And they've had Bradish and Means come back, so they're trying to figure out their rotation. Does 5 men work? Does 6 men work? What about an off day? With 2 guys coming back from injury and Grayson Rodriguez in the rotation, 6 days makes sense, but don't you want Corbin Burns out there as much as possible? So I think Baltimore's trying to figure out the best way to approach it.
And by the way, I gave Fetty a 2, and I'm going to give Crochet a 3. What say you on Crochet?
The strikeout potential brings him to the 4 range for me.
Okay.
There's risk, but I'm going to go 4 for Crochet. He had that speed bump, He had that, the 3 really good ones, then 3 really bad ones. Now he's kind of settled. So I think he's settled to a 4.
All right, I got you down as a 4 on Crochet. Reese Olson's still waiting for his first win, although he's got a 2.09 ERA. And Casey Mize also has pitched pretty well for them. So they're at Kansas City versus Toronto. The Detroit offense hasn't been providing a ton of support lately, and in Olson's case, not at all, really. But at KC versus Toronto, I think Reese Olson's a 4 for me.
Yeah, he's the guy that was very slow to warm to and kind of finally have. Jack Flaherty's also 0-3 heading into tomorrow. I think he's got the best K-minus BB in the league. I know he's not a 2-start guy, but the best K-minus BB in the league, but he's 0-3. Yet, Olson doesn't have a win, but yet the Tigers are just 1 game below 500. It's just weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Scooble's, perfect 5-0, but everybody else on the starting staff, very few wins for their starting pitchers.
So Mize, we haven't done Mize. Olson's a 4. Mize,
I got Olson as a 3, but you got a 4 on.
I get a 4. That's right. Mize, it's a 1 or a 2. I wish you could tell me which Toronto's coming back or which Toronto will show up. It's at Detroit. I'm going to go 2.
2, okay.
For Mize, yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. No 2-star pitchers for Houston because I think we're projecting Urquidy back. Let me double check on that. Yeah.
Urquidy back, and then Blanco can come off his suspension on Sunday.
Weird situation there with Blanco, but yeah, he is suspended, but he can return. So no 2-star pitchers for them next week. For Kansas City, Michael Wacha, he'll be versus Detroit at Tampa Bay. A 4.71 ERA for Wacha. Tough guy to trust. Would you even give him a 1?
At Detroit and at Tampa, I think he gets a 1. I was actually thinking maybe 2. I don't know what you mentioned, the 4.71 ERA. I thought it would be better than that. I will give him a 1. But Tampa hasn't turned it on yet either with the bats. So
that's true.
this is, you know what? This is one of those cliche. If you're not using them this week, why is he on your roster?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Randy Rosarena had that just awful start, but I still believe in Randy and think he'll get going. I still think Tampa Bay is, they got Josh Lowe back, so I think they'll be pretty good offensively. We'll see, though. Reed Detmers at Houston versus Cleveland. It's been a struggle so far for Reed Detmers, and at Houston, I'm going to turn this one over to you. What say you on Reed Detmers?
He's shown signs, but Houston's starting to come out of it. Cleveland is a little bit tricky. I'm going to go at Houston. I'm going to go 3.
Oh, okay. I put down a 1, but okay, I got you down as a 3.
I'm probably gonna regret making it 2, or he may come out of the 2. But you know what? I'm gonna go 2.
2.
Houston's starting to come out. Houston's starting to hit.
Yeah.
And Cleveland.
Saw Joey Loperfido had his first career homer.
Yeah.
By the way, you mentioned Jack Flaherty kind of in passing, but we had a mention about him in the chat. Our friend Uncle Ted said he traded Flaherty for Nolan Jones. Wanted to know our thoughts. I think that's a pretty good buy low on Jones.
I had the answer half typed out. I think in a vacuum, it does make sense. There's some risk there with Jones. I think I would have tried to get more for Flaherty. Whether you can or not is obviously Uncle Ted, if he's as active at trading as he is in this chat, he tried to get a better deal. If that's what you ended up with, I think it's a good sell high. But the thing with Flaherty is he's backing his numbers with the underlying metrics. So interesting.
Yeah, Jones has kicked off his rehab assignments and began that assignment on Wednesday at AAA Albuquerque, so he should be back soon.
The other part about that is I've been burned too often that I know the signs are all good, but you've written enough notes to know that tomorrow, the next day, you could have a note where Jones has a setback.
Yeah,
I want, and not that a healthy guy can't get hurt, but at least he's starting healthy. So again though, if you have excess pitching and you need to improve your hitting, it makes sense. I just wonder if there's a better deal there.
Yeah, injury optimism is not your friend, as our pal Scott Pianowski has often said. And assumptions with a player coming back can be dangerous, certainly. Well, I want to pause real quick because I'm going to splice in some ads, but we'll be back after this very brief commercial break. All right, we're back on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay Link and Todd Zola making our way through the rest of the 2-star pitchers for next week. Gavin Stone, 4-1 with a 3.27 ERA versus Arizona, then at Cincinnati. I'm still not a huge believer. I think I have him in a league or two, and in those spots, I think I'm starting him. So I think I'm going to go 3. Does that sound high to you on Gavin Stone?
I think it's about right. At Cincinnati is a bit scary, just on paper. Interesting with Stone. I mean, so many pitchers in the Dodgers. When Emmett Sheehan went under the knife, I increased Stone's starts for the year. I mean, I think he's going to be more of a starter than reliever now. I'm gonna, the Arizona one touchy, but it's in LA. In Cincinnati, just don't walk. Just keep Ellie up the base pass. Jeez.
Yeah, easier said than done. But once he's on, he just wreaks havoc. Now, Ryan Weathers, not to pat myself on the back, but I picked him up for a stream here against the Tigers, and it worked out mighty fine. Actually, was he perfect through 6? That's insane.
So wait, you picked a guy with 1 start up with a good matchup and didn't try to sneak in a cruddy 2-start guy?
Yeah, isn't that a novel idea? Yeah.
And now,
now I feel like I have a decent piece. Of course,
and
recency bias.
Whether or not you looked ahead a week or not, you probably did. You saw that these are pretty good matchups.
Yeah. So versus Milwaukee at Arizona, it was a tough road for him. Initially with the Padres, and then initially with Miami after the trade last year. But seems to be coming around a little bit. So I think I'm going to give Ryan Weathers a 3.
Give him a 3 too, a 3 as well. I think part of it is, what's his role? He's been a starter, an opener, a primary pitcher. I think, granted, a lot of it's been because of injury, but he's been a standard starter for the Marlins. I think that's helped him.
Yeah, he's bad team around him, but at least he's kind of gotten that opportunity to settle into the rotation and show what he can do, and he's looked pretty good so far. Son of David Weathers, right?
Oh, not Carl?
Oh, don't believe so.
The late.
Robert Gosser's been good for Milwaukee, but it's not him who lines up for 2. It's Joe Ross. Now, he does get to go to Miami, but then at Boston. Look, I've done the Joe Ross streaming thing before, and
I'm in the middle of it, to be honest. I've been doing it.
Yeah, because I was tempted to go 0. I think I'm going to go 1, but he's been around a while, and again, I've ridden this train before, and it's not always fun.
I'm at the point where I never wish injury upon anybody, so I'm saying this tongue in cheek. I kind of hope he gets hurt so I don't have to make the decision. This one, I don't know. I actually did drop him a couple places, but I was all over him. I'm going to go 1 as well, but I will be watching the Boston game, but I will be turning it off when Joe Ross. No, I won't. I'll watch it when Joe Ross is on the mound too.
Pablo Lopez at Washington, then versus Texas. He hasn't pitched like a 5, but I think I'm still on a 5 for Pablo.
Right. I think he's been a little inconsistent because he has shown some signs. What he's done lately. So this, if you take away this last outing against the Yankees, who will do this to a lot of teams, he had 7, 6, 8, 10. He's been getting the job done. I'm going to go 5 as well. The Yankees are going to beat up some teams.
And Tylor Megill, who we talked about among the pickup options this week at the top of the show, we do have him in for Monday, so it would be at Cleveland versus San Francisco. Let me just see. I know McGill's been rehabbing a while.
We're both looking up the same thing real quick.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
5 in the 3rd innings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he went 5 in the 3rd, struck out 6, 5 in the 3rd scoreless, 7 hits allowed. So, and actually before that he went 4 innings, didn't give up a single hit against Lehigh Valley. So a pretty good run there to close his rehab assignments at Cleveland versus San Francisco. I know Cleveland was running pretty hot offensively early in the season, but they've lost Quan, and Naylor's been a great story this season. But at Cleveland still doesn't.
One of the Nailers, the other Nailer not so much.
Josh and Bo.
Josh has done the job. Bo not so much, right?
Yeah, true. All right, so McGill, I think I'm going to give a 3. I don't feel great about it, but I think. He's definitely going to be atop some lists for me this week.
He's definitely a 2, and I think I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna go 2. Yeah, but I'm expecting 3. But I'm using him. He's on the top of my list. I'm using him, but I think there's still a little bit of hesitation. He is just coming back. I'm gonna go 2.
All right. What about Marcus Stroman and Clark Schmidt for the Yankees? They're going to be versus Seattle. Then at San Diego, Yankees have been playing pretty well, and Schmidt's, as bad as last season was, man, he's really been great so far for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Stroman's a hard guy to trust given the volatility and the lack of whiffs, but I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go 2 on Stroman, 3 on Schmidt. What say you?
I'm actually 2 on Stroman. I'm debating 4 or 5 on Schmidt. What he's been doing is supported. Now, all right, does he keep it up? All right, I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good vote of confidence on Clark Schmidt.
Yep.
All right. Next up, is this Aaron Brooks. Wow. 34-year-old pitched well against the Astros, actually, but ooh, man, that was his first big league start since 2019. I got to go 0 on Aaron Brooks.
Yeah, I had to make sure that it wasn't like Aaron Brooks' kid when I saw he was starting. But yes, it's that Aaron Brooks. I'm with you. I'm going to go 0. Or maybe it's even the old quarterback. There was an Aaron Brooks quarterback at the same time. So no, I'm going to go 0.
All right. Well, here's an interesting guy who's, probably right now, results-wise, leading the NL Cy Young discussion, I would think. Ranger Suarez, he's 8-0 with a 1.37 ERA. I mean, do you buy this from Ranger Suarez, or is this start for him supported?
It is to a certain extent. The landing will be soft, but I don't see. I mean, I don't know. Colorado will be the comeuppance because the offense just isn't that good. But Suarez, I mean, the was 269, which is really good, right? I mean, it's obviously higher than his ERA. So what he's doing is supported. I just don't know how long he can keep it up. He's not missing a ton of bats. It's kind of at league average strikeout rate, 215 BABIP, that's going up. 80%, 87% left on base, that's going up. 57% ground ball.
Going down, right?
Yeah, going down. 57% ground ball is in line with what he's done in the past. So soft landing, but better than I thought he'd be. But who did I compare him to in the tout table? Was it Tanner Houck? Yeah, it was Tanner Houck. I'm gonna go with Houck when I do my answer. So kind of tells you maybe that's some Boston bias in there. But people are telling me that was the hardest decision they had to make, whether I want Ranger Suarez or Tanner Houck the rest of the year.
That is tough either or.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houck, but I'm going to go with a 4, even though it's in Colorado, which means it would have been a 5 anywhere else.
Yeah, I think I'm there too on Ranger Suarez. It's kind of amazing. Bill James kind of having the last laugh right now after he said he thought he'd be an ace, but I don't expect him to win the NL Cy Young, but I would say he's probably the early front runner as far as what he's doing on the field.
I think Shota Imanaga may have an argument, but I think you can make an argument. Well, I've been making an argument all week that unless the rules of pitching analysis don't apply to Imanaga, his ascent past Yamamoto in the Rookie of the Year odds, and just in general, I put a tweet out. Who do you want the rest of the year, Imanaga or Yamamoto? Imanaga was like 54%. I think we've forgotten all we knew about looking at underlying metrics. He's good, but man, the guy's been very, very fortunate. And the weather's going to warm. And I know we're talking about a pitcher that's not on the list, but the weather's going to warm in Wrigley Field, and that park shrinks. But anyway,
those are good warnings as far as Imanaga goes.
Yeah. Sure. Anyway, all right.
Those guys are pretty much neck and neck. Martin Perez, lefty, versus San Francisco versus Atlanta. 2 at home, but
not in the Cy Young running.
No, not in that conversation. And actually, I'm actually going to go 0. I know he had the, occasionally, and I think with the Rangers a couple years ago, he had that shocking career year out of nowhere. But
even with Boston too.
Yeah, but he's just too volatile.
Yeah,
results are all over the page.
I want to say Atlanta's not hitting well, therefore I'm going to go with a 1. But no, I'm scared. Perez scares me. Although he's the kind of guy that can, the Giants will get him for 8 runs, and then he'll give up no runs against Atlanta. This is what he does. But I'm going to go 0.
Yeah, and Michael King's kind of been Jekyll and Hyde lately. Sorry?
So, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. He had that awesome outing against the Dodgers where he threw 7 scoreless, struck out 12, but then home against the Rockies, 6 earned runs over 5 1/3. So, yeah, I saw that some managers had benched him against the Dodgers, then started him against Colorado. That's got to be extremely frustrating. But at Cincinnati versus the Yankees, I think Michael King's probably 4.
Yeah, got to put the mic back on because of the siren behind me.
Okay.
I'm going to go 3.
Only 3 on King.
I'm going to go 3.
What say you on Dylan Cease, who's looking like a great trade acquisition for San Diego?
Yep, he's pitched a little better than I mean, he's gotten the better control. We should point out it's this wraparound. He's at Atlanta. He doesn't have the Reds like the King does.
Yep.
Than the Yankees. I think Cease, is he a 5 with the 4 matchups are 4? And that's where I'm at. It's a 5, but the matchups are 4. So I'm going to go 4.
Okay, I only got a 5, but I got you down as a 4.
Yeah, I mean,
so you're just a notch lower on King and Cease from me.
4.49. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good that we disagree there. Logan Gilbert, Brian Woo. It was good to see Woo. After in his debut, after he returned from a bit of I think it was an elbow issue. He had some more elbow problems. Had some issues getting loose deeper into the game after a long inning, but it was good to see he came back and pitched well. Wednesday got the win over the Royals, 5 1/3 innings, allowed just 1 run, 3 hits. So good to see that, while he may have some trouble bouncing back and may hit a wall in certain outings, seems to be in the clear for now. So for Brian Woo and Logan Gilbert, it's at the Yankees at Washington. Gilbert's a 5. Right.
Matchups are tough, but I'm a Gilbert believer. I'm going to go 5. Woo, I'm a 3, but that may. I'm gonna. You're right. He looked good. I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, I do still have some lingering concerns about the elbow with Woo, but I'm going to go 3 there. And Logan Webb's a 5.
Right. But he's still not missing bats. It looked like he was going to catch up to him the other night, but he gutted it out and had another good outing. Well, I think it was against the Dodgers, if I recall. He got hit early, but hung in there. I'm still a Logan fan, but I want the strikeouts, man. Where are they? I'm going to go 5, but where are the strikeouts?
Yeah, that's kind of, I guess, arguably he is an ace for fantasy, but that's for me was kind of in the past kept Webb from
I'm talking
really it being an ace status. And they're down this year, right?
I'm not talking about Cole Reagan's level strikeouts, right? I'm talking about previous level strikeouts.
Yeah. It was kind of modest before, and now hopefully get at least get back up to career norms. Sonny Gray versus Baltimore versus the Cubs. So 2 home starts for Gray. We talked about how the Cardinals are in the cellar, but that's not Gray's fault. He's done his part. So, Baltimore is always scary. I think I'm going to go 4 on Sonny.
I'm going to go 4, and it would have been a 5 had the offense been a little more strong. Use words, Zola. If the offense had been a bit stronger for St. Louis, I'm going to go 4, but I think he's going to bid up 5 ratios.
Well, Taj Bradley in line for 2 next week versus Boston versus Kansas City. So 2 home starts for Bradley. And I know the Sunday host of the pod, Sunday/Monday, Scott Genstad, said he was a big spender on Bradley last weekend. Very much a believer in what Bradley can do, and Bradley paying some early dividends.
I mean,
and this is a pretty nice 2-step, although Boston may give you some pause.
Not in Tampa. Weird things happen with Boston and Tampa.
Yeah, true.
I mean, they took 3 of Tampa took 3 of 4. They were like 11-2 against Boston last year. Oh, it's just a nightmare. This is a 3. Wouldn't shock me if it turns out to be 4 though, but it's just a 3 at this point.
Yeah, 3 until further notice, but certainly a guy that should be rostered, I think, in most leagues if he's still hanging out there. I'd open up the wallet a little bit. John Gray, 2-1 with a 2.08 ERA at Philly and at Minnesota. I think there could be some regression coming this week for Gray. The Rangers, the defending champs, have been Not very good so far this season. I'll turn this one over to you first. What say you on John Gray?
Man, I could see two disasters, but it's Gray. I'm going to go with a 2. And
wow, that's it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, at Philly and at Minnesota, those are tough.
Yeah.
Those are tough matchups.
I put myself down for a 3, but I got you down as a 2, and I would probably defer to Todd on that one because Philly just, they scare me. In Minnesota, no slouches. Well, there may be a slouch or two, but no real, layups in that lineup.
No, it's one of those move the line lineups.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of people popping in with a little bit of enough power. It's not like Cleveland. Minnesota's got a couple of guys capable. Max Kepler was hitting long balls for a while. Leading off, Ryan Jeffers, Jeff Erickson's favorite catcher, is doing real well.
He's like top 10 in all baseball by OPS, isn't he? He's just been unreal. Sick, yeah, if you took that, I mean, that's the kind of pick that a catcher could really, swing things.
And Jeff was on him. Jeff was on him. It was credit. Jeff was on him all year.
And it wasn't just
talking the draft. I'm not talking pick him up during draft season.
Yeah, it wasn't just I guess we'll take him. He was actively looking to draft Jeffers. So tip of the cap to Jeff and all you Ryan Jeffers managers out there. Jose Barrios. Now he's versus the White Sox and at Detroit. Man, I'm tempted to go 5, but I think Barrios, if I look up 4 in the dictionary, I see a picture of Barrios. Do you agree, or are you going?
Yeah,
5?
I mean, I'm gonna go 4 for both him and Kikuchi. But it wouldn't be surprising if they go 12 innings, 3 runs allowed. If they put up 5 performances.
Yeah, they're like the types of 4s that are like, all right, you're starting him, but out of respect to the high end aces, I just can't go 5.
Yeah.
Now finally, Mitchell Parker, a 24-year-old, has been pitching, pretty well actually for Washington versus Minnesota versus Seattle.
But they're home.
I see some regression coming here, but not completely out of the mix. I think I'm only going to go 1 though.
I'm only going to go 1 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more. Or longer.
Same. All right. Well, let's recap our 2-star pitcher grades for the week of May 20th, 2024. We're almost 2 months into the season already, but still 4 months of baseball to go. So still a lot of baseball to be played this regular season. All right. 2-star pitchers. Slade Ciccone, 1. I feel like it should be Ciccone, but I think it is Ciccone. I think that's how they were pronouncing it on the Reds broadcast. Anyway, Chris Sale, 5. Charlie Morton, 3. Kyle Bradish, 4. Tanner Houck, I say 3. Todd, 4. Javier Assad, 3. Andrew Abbott, I say 2. Todd, 1. Ben Lively, I say 1. Todd, 2. Cal Quantrill, 0. Eric Fetty, 2. Garrett Crochet, I say 3. Todd, 4. Reese Olson, I say 3. Todd, 4. Casey Mize, 2. Michael Waka, 1. Reed Detmers, I say 1. Todd, 2. Gavin Stone, 3. Ryan Weathers, 3. Joe Ross, 1. Pablo Lopez, 5. Tylor Megill, I say 3. Todd, 2. Marcus Stroman, 2. Clark Schmidt, I say 3. Todd, 4. Aaron Brooks, 0. Ranger Suarez, 4. Martin Perez, 0. Michael King, I say 4. Todd, 3. Dylan Cease, I say 5. Todd, 4. Logan Gilbert, 5. Brian Wu, 3. Logan Webb, 5. So Logan Gilbert and Logan Webb, both 5s. Sonny Gray, 4. Taj Bradley, 3. John Gray, I say 3. Todd, 2. Jose Barrios, 4. Yusei Kikuchi, 4. And finally, Mitchell Parker at 1. Whew. Well, we had, kind of a small number of 2-star pitchers 2 weeks ago. I think we made up for it here today. Anything else on your mind today, Todd?
Not a whole heck of a lot as far as, everything's out there. Haven't done a lot of, done work, but it hasn't been posted lately. We're going to catch up pretty soon. So glad to have you back. Glad you had a good time in Cooperstown. Never been myself, kind of a bucket list item, if you will. So it's good. Weather's warming everywhere, folks. But the ball should be going a little bit further. Run should be going up a little bit. And hopefully our teams will respond.
Yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it if you get a chance to check out the hall. It's pretty awesome, and who knows? I mean, maybe I'd like to get there several more times in my life. So maybe we could. Who knows? Maybe we can meet there someday.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad.
That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, great stuff today. I want to thank our sponsor, Prize Picks. Use promo code RotoPod for a 100% deposit match. We again thank them, and we will be back next week. Hope you'll join us on the Friday edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.